Joining me this week is Dr. Andy Brito from Brito Family Dental. Andy, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good, bud. How's your week been coming along? What's been taking up the most of your mental space lately?
I've been doing a lot of full arches lately, and we're getting an anesthesiologist involved, and that takes just a lot of bandwidth with communicating with doctors and getting them cleared for surgery. So, been going back and forth with a lot of medical doctors, anesthesiologists, my team, just trying to coordinate basically times for big surgeries for the next couple of weeks. So, got a lot scheduled for this month.
Man, you're doing a lot then. So, if we can, let's start with a quick snapshot of what kind of practice you're running today.
Yeah, so it's a small family office. It's in South Boston, Mass. It's a four-chair office, one receptionist, like one and a half hygienists, and basically one and a half assistants. One hygienist is my wife, so she helps out a lot. She's able to do a little bit of everything: hygiene, answer phones, assist me. But yeah, I've taken a lot of CE courses, probably over $200,000 worth of CE courses. So we do probably like 75% fee for service and the other 25% insurance. Do a lot of implants, a lot of full arches, a lot of veneers. Been open for 8 years now. It's a really small office. I want to keep it that way. I just feel like that in Boston, there's a lot of corporate offices. And I think one of the issues with corporate offices is just there's a lot of younger dentists, which, we all have to start somewhere, but there's a lot of younger dentists that just don't know how to treatment plan, or they're overly aggressive. And then, they don't follow it up with good quality work, or they just basically just fall with poor quality work, or they overtreat. People like come to my office because it's a family office. Everyone's really nice. And just because of my low overhead in my office and low overhead of my lifestyle, we're able to, not overtreat people. And I would say my fees are relatively low compared to other offices just because of my low overhead in my office. So yeah, people see that. People see the honesty. I think I get along with most people. They see that I'm not, excuse my language, bullshitting them. So they can see the honesty and the sincerity. Yeah, people tell other people. And so, yeah, I've been really busy the past 8 years, and I'm very blessed.
Nice. If you don't mind me asking, if we can get
Mhm.
like close to specific, you can give me a range if you want, but overhead wise, percentage wise, what does that look like in your practice?
So I'm probably around 40% overhead. So I think that's really, national average, I think, is around 65, 70. So I'm at 40. I've helped a lot of people do startups, and I do think that like a lot of people just have astronomical build out costs and just buy equipment that they don't need. Very expensive chairs, $100,000 chairs, $60,000 chairs. Every practice is different. Every doctor is different. Every demographic is different. I just feel as if patients don't really care if you have the newest chair and stuff like that. I don't know, for example, I bought like a refurbished chair. It was like $10,000. Some people buying $50,000 chairs, times that by 5 chairs, 6 chairs. These things just add up, and then, your overhead skyrockets, and then you have to do work that you don't want to just to pay the bills. So I just like to keep my overhead low. I have my own lab too, so that saves a lot of my costs. It was a big upfront investment, but now I'm, reaping the rewards, and I have a very low lab bill and stuff. So I'm able to offer treatment for much cheaper to patients. My costs are lower. I can make the patient save some money too. And patients can tell because, sometimes for these bigger cases, they go to multiple offices for quotes. And I'm usually significantly less just because I have less overhead.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. So then how many ops do you currently have right now?
So I have 4 ops. One's hygiene, and the other 3 are mine. One of mine could be used for hygiene as well. So that's a pretty small office, 4.
Was this built from the ground up, or was it an acquisition kind of a thing? Or
It was a startup built up from scratch. I designed it. I built it out. So yeah.
gotcha. So then what was if you could let us know, like what was the bank that you went with and like the terms of it, but then at the same time, were you staying in budget, and how did it allocate?
Yeah, so I use Bank of America. I think Bank of America is the biggest bank to use for all funding for startups. Might not be the best service, but they typically give the best rate just because they are the biggest bank. Yeah, everything was in budget with my build out, on time. Helps that my dad was very good friends with the contractor to make everything go efficiently. But yeah, typically Bank of America gives the most amount, fastest, and lowest interest rate. But some people don't like their service. For me, it's a loan. I don't really think it needs that. There's not much service. Like, this is not a restaurant, they just need to dish out money when the contractor asks. Typically, I think the contractor would ask half when you start and half when you finish. Took them a day or two to send the funds to the contractor. So I referred them to the person that handled my loan. Was actually super nice. I think he still works there. So I refer him to a lot of people just because I personally had a good experience. But
Could I ask how much the amount was?
it was end up being like 220,000 for both, for equipment and build out. So relatively a low amount of money. That does not count the the CBCT, which was probably another 60, let's call it. But yeah, I do think that people spend too much money on, like I said, chairs is a big one to me. X-ray arms is another big thing to me. Computer systems. I think a lot of IT companies buy these computers that are just like really too powerful for the computers. Like, most of the stuff is run on a server, and then the computers that are in the rooms, they can be very cheap computers because that program is being run on a desktop. So I've seen IT quotes of $30,000 to $40,000. I think my IT quote was like 10. So I just think that people should save a little money on the build out and when they can, just so, just lower their overhead.
Yeah. Who was your IT person?
It was just like a local person.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was a quote for like 10. Wow, that's good. So then let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Like when you think about ownership today, what feels fundamentally different compared to those earlier seasons?
I think just because maybe just Instagram's a little bigger now, I think it kind of feels good and it feels like you're proud to walk into this like super new, super shiny office, but that just comes with like costs to it. I just think that patients want clean operatory, like clean offices, and they don't need glass walls. You can be clean and efficient, layout without spending $1 billion. I think there's ways of saving money in the build out so that you can lower your overhead.
Gotcha. Okay. So then it's more so like what feels different compared to back then was back then, were you kind of like, oh man, I need to get the best and the latest? Or was there like an internal battle? Or were you just always like this where you're like, nah, don't need it?
My parents are just immigrants. So we always tried to spend as least money as possible. And then I felt like when I started making money, if I wanted to buy something better that, made treatment faster or better, that I could buy it. Now I can buy, if I want to go buy a Sirona $100,000 Sirona chair, I can. Back then when you're starting out, I just don't recommend it. I do think a lot of people do things for the gram these days and social media and just to be cool that they have a brand new chair. Like, I'm not telling you to get like disgusting chairs with ripped leather, but there's other options of like decent looking chairs that function 100%. They're just maybe not ADEC brand new $50,000 chairs. So I don't mean to harp on the chair thing. It's just overall, even just your build out, just less crazy expensive materials. And, you don't need this crazy marble on your front desk. The patients don't really care if you have marble or if it's quartz.
Interesting. Okay. And you mentioned you had your own lab. That started out from the beginning too, or no?
That started about 2 years ago. Like I said, I do about 4 to 6 full arches a month. So full arches, remove teeth, place the implants, and I have a couple 3D printers. But that procedure specifically, when you can bring the lab in-house, you save a crazy amount of money because labs do charge a lot for design and to mill the zirconia prostheses. So I had that for 2 years. It was a big investment in time and money and learning curve. It's very stressful just because there's a lots of moving parts. You need to learn like the design part of it, the CAD, the CAM part of it. Still not perfect till today, but it's much better systems now. We have better, more predictable outcomes now. But I would say that lab costs were about around $100,000 for the lab. That included a mill, a furnace, some type of sintering oven, and like a glazing oven. So far that's worked out well for me.
For those of the listeners looking to kind of go down that path where they're like, I want to have my own lab eventually, or I want to do it pretty soon. What are some things where you can recommend or suggest where it's like, yeah, you'd be a good fit for this, or no, you know what, you probably don't have the patience for it, and so forth?
Yeah, it's an amazing question. And I think every person needs to like think about that if they're like ready to do that, because it is a lot of work. I'm a little crazy. I don't have too many other passions outside of dentistry and outside of I'm just an entrepreneur. So I like business. So that was just something else to learn about, to make my business better. But it's a crazy amount of work. I guess the first thing I would say was just buy from a reputable company. There's certain things I don't think you need to buy from reputable companies, like where you get your cotton rolls isn't really that important because you don't need support for your cotton rolls. But for mills and stuff like that, things break and there's a lot of troubleshooting. And if you buy from a reputable company, it makes things just so much easier. I bought from Cadre. It's a company out of, I think, California. But, the salesman, his name's Frank DeLuca. I can text him any day, anytime, Sunday, and he'll respond to me. So that means a lot to me. I don't think people should look at it right off the beginning to just save money because it costs so much money and it's a lot of time to learn how to do it. I think it makes things easier, faster for patients. So which makes it more convenient for patients, which makes it easier for them to say yes, just because you're able to do things really fast. Patients actually do like it when you tell them that you'll have your own in-house lab, because then they understand that you can control the aesthetics of things better and you can control the time better. So that is a selling point to patients. So, if you want to do bigger cases, that helps out. The dentist should see if they're the type of personality, like if they just refuse to go in on a Friday, Saturday, you might have to in the first year because things might not go right and you have to troubleshoot things. And you do eventually need to train a tech and or an assistant to become almost a tech, because if you're doing everything, then you're just trading your time for the lab time. So you do need to train an assistant. Typically what I tell people is like learn everything yourself and then teach someone and then delegate it to them so that they can do it.
Interesting. Okay, I like that a lot. So then this came from, okay, we're getting full arches, right? Are you just in that demographic where people are coming in for that, or how are you marketing for that?
Two ways. One, I'm Portuguese. My wife's Brazilian. Because we both speak Portuguese, there's a large Brazilian community in Massachusetts. So that helps out. People just talk. I've used every single marketing company. I think I've done a lot of things for marketing purposes. A lot of stuff that I listen in your podcasts. I think the things that changed the most is I did find a pretty good Google ad agency that has helped me the past year and a half. I've had really good results with them.
Gotcha. For you can be as open as you want about this or as specific. What companies have been like, man, you know what? Looking back in these 8 years, they've been really good, or they in moments and seasons they were really good. And what were some companies that were like not good at all? Maybe just they didn't vibe with you, or I don't know, something like that.
So I've done everything, literally everything. I spent a lot of money on marketing. I tried to do every door direct mail, like mailers. Then I found out that my mailman was like taking a stack of like 1,000 and leaving them in condo buildings. So that cost me like $10,000 and no one was getting the mailers. So I spent $20,000, $30,000 on that stuff. Got very, very little ROI on that. I've made, I think Gilliard Mark is a magazine company. It might work for some people. Maybe the immigrant mentality in me, I find it kind of crazy to spend $100,000 on magazines. So I just created my own magazine and then just mailed them out. Typically with those, you have to buy your own mailing lists. People were calling me, reporting me to the Better Business Bureau because I was putting their name on magazines. So I stopped doing magazines. A lot of people do a lot of like Facebook ads. I actually do my own Facebook ads. The companies that were doing my Facebook ads, I feel like they were getting what they call leads. And there are a lot of cold leads. Cold leads just don't work for me. I know they don't work for anyone. Obviously, no one wants cold leads. But I feel like the ads that they were putting on for full arches or for veneers, they would get you a name, a phone number, an email. And those people, I don't know, for whatever reason they saw it on Facebook, they thought it was going to be either low cost or free to them. So, the bad companies were basically just getting me 100 leads. I would say 80 of them didn't pick up the phone. 20 of them did. 15 out of those 20, maybe if they made an appointment, 5 showed up and 1 did the work. So you pretty much had to hire one full-time person to call the 100 leads, to make appointments, to follow up with the 100 leads, to get one person to do the treatment. I wasn't a big fan of that. It's just kind of like depressing when, knowing that you call 100 people and one person did the work. I would say those numbers are pretty accurate, like 100 to 2 to 3 to do the work. So wasn't too happy with that. The company that I work with now, it's called Elementus. They just do Google ads. They've been getting me really high quality patients. I do think that the one thing that I do that kind of separates me, my overall cost for my full arches is very affordable compared to other offices. Like I said, just because my overhead's, relatively low. And then B, I put an in general cost of my full arch on my website. So people know what it's going to cost before they come in a ballpark. They see that I'm a little bit more affordable than other people. So I get a lot of more hot leads because my fee is right on my website. So I probably have like a 30%, 20 to 30% close rate on everyone that comes in just because they already know what was in the ballpark. Some people have already been pre-approved before they even come in. So that works for my personality. Just I don't like getting 100 leads and then only one person doing it, 5 showing up and 1 doing the job. With my Google ads now, I'll probably only get 7, 8 leads, but 4 of them will do it. We'll do the case. And we're talking $40,000 to $50,000 cases. So yeah, I would just say that the marketing company that I'm working with now is just a lot more hot leads.
The 100 and only 1 coming in is like just vanity metrics kind of a thing, right? It's not like can't do anything. The EDDM, the mailman situation, what happened there?
So I made my own mailers and I was a big dental talent person in the back in the day. So I saw someone doing that. So I was making mailers and they would literally every month I would do like mailers to a different neighborhood I would try to look at demographics, and even though it's not super accurate, but I thought it was decent on how much they make salary per year. But actually one of my patients that lives in the seaport in Massachusetts, so all these like condo buildings, he was a really nice patient of mine. He just said, yeah, I walked into the mail room in my building and I just saw he came in with the mailers. He came in with like, I don't know if it's 1,000, but I would say 500 mailers, like this much. The mailman just dropped on the desk that's in the mailroom. And if you do the math, that's like $1,000. No, it was way more than that. Like I know I probably spent $20,000 to $30,000 in the EDDM, and I would probably say like 25,000 of that went to waste.
Did you ever confront the mailman or no?
I tried to get money back. I think I tried to report it to my credit card company. They didn't give me my money back. And that was tough because that was like one of the first things that I did off the beginning and didn't work out. But I like investing in my business. I find that to be fun. So I try to like learn a lesson from everything, whether it's good or bad. Didn't work out. So I just didn't do it again.
Interesting. Okay, so with all marketing you've done and also like the business decisions, where did you notice yourself making decisions faster or with less emotional weight?
Probably just a couple of years in when I became like personally, financially good. I have low personal overhead as well. And I think that makes you less stressed at work. So you're able to make decisions faster just because you're not strapped for cash because you don't have a boat to pay for, a car to pay for, or an astronomical, house or condo to pay for. So I think a couple of years in when I was financially, when I saved enough emergency fund, I was able to, make decisions a little quicker.
Gotcha. Okay. So then take us back, Andy, if you can, to a season where ownership felt heavier than it should have. How did that weight show up day to day?
Yeah, just more stressed, less patience with patients, less patience with family and friends, just lose temper quicker. Still not perfect now. I do think the difficulty with startups is you don't have staff there for a long time. So I think staff get better the longer they're with you because they learn how you are and they learn how to answer questions from patients and they learn how to deal with me. But I think when people buy offices, there's already a culture there. And when you do a startup, you have to like build your own culture. So yeah, I think it was definitely more stress in the beginning. I'm still stressed now, but I guess it's different types of stress than it was when I first opened up.
Gotcha. The stress from the beginning, what was that like? And do you see that a lot nowadays when you're like when we're scrolling through Dental Town, Facebook,
Mm,
right, social media,
yeah,
you see that, okay, that was me in 2018. You're
yeah.
stressing out about something you're not supposed to be really stressing out about, kind of a thing.
Like I said, it goes back to like the overhead thing. If you don't have any patients and you have high overhead, you need to meet a certain number every month, you get stressed out. And in the beginning, I just took every insurance possible, including
Right.
Medicaid. I think some people just think they're in the beginning, you just got to be busy. I'd rather a patient in the seat and doing work. If you have no one in the chair, you're not making any revenue. No one's talking about you. You're not getting reviews. So I'd rather have a Medicaid patient that I'm not making, maybe I'm only making $500 an hour instead of 15 or 2,000. But first of all, I'm helping someone. Second of all, income's coming in so I can pay my loans. And then also, they're liking me. They're going to tell their friends they have better insurance. They're going to rate positive reviews and it's just going to snowball. I do think some people in the beginning try to stay out of network with everything. Again, this is just my personal opinions. Everyone's different and everyone wants to practice different. But in the beginning, I took every insurance just to get people in the door. And now I only take one insurance or in network with one insurance.
Was there always the decision to like, okay, at this date, we're going to start dropping the insurances no matter what? From day one, did you think that? Or was it more like, hey, years have passed by and we're like, you know what, we should probably start dropping?
Yeah, I just looked multiple reasons. One, I just looked at my capacity for pro fees, cleanings, like how booked out I was for cleanings, how booked I was out for myself. And I just looked at the returns. I'm not like the best with numbers, but I understand basics. These days, hygienists are getting $60 an hour if you're only getting $780 for your pro fee. If 1, 2 patients no show, you're breaking even or making very little money on your pro fees. So I just tried to get out of network so that I was a little bit more profitable there. And then I was a little more profitable on my side. The goal was never to do that. I just saw that a way to be more profitable and also just do better quality work. Because if you're getting paid very low amount, and today my last patient was like 6 fillings. That's like, if you were getting paid $80, a filling, it'd be hard to do good fillings for $80 a filling. So that wasn't always the goal. I saw that I could in the end do better work and then also make more money afterwards and be slightly less stressed. That's why I did that.
Did you lose a lot of patients when you started dropping or no?
So it's so funny. I lost all the ones that I liked, they all stayed because like they like me and they didn't mind paying $200 out of pocket to get reimbursed. All the ones that, I didn't like, they left. It was a win-win for everyone. And like I said, my fees aren't ridiculous because my overhead's low. So it's not like I'm charging $500 for a cleaning. My cleaning fee is like $250 if the insurance is giving them back like $200. So they're only losing $50 a year to see someone that is what I think to be, again, I'm not perfect, very conservative dentist. If the patients want to go to an in-network doctor, again, I'm not saying they're all in-network doctors are bad or good. There's plenty of in-network doctors that are good, but technically in nine demographic, it's kind of hard to be in-network in such a large major city because the cost of doing business is really high. So from what I see from second opinions is there's a lot of over treatment. And I can't tell you how many patients left me, went to other doctors. They came back, like they told me I had 10 cavities and they showed me the sheet and I look and they have none. That's a subjective thing. I understand some people subject on whether or not you have a cavity or not. But I find myself to be more conservative and coming back to me, and
Yeah.
not all of them, but a lot of them.
Gotcha. Interesting. So honestly, Andy, if you can let us know or let me know when that happens, when they're like, hey, they told me I had 8 cavities and 10 cavities, do you kind of say like, oh, okay, well, let me look. Well, I'm more conservative, or are you more like, oh, I don't know what that guy was talking about. He's just trying to get, you know what I mean? Kind of a thing.
I'm really bad with that. I'd never bash other dentists ever. I literally just say the same things like, listen, you can go to 10 different dentists, you're going to get 15 different opinions. It doesn't mean one's right or what's wrong. I just happen to be conservative, and I'm not saying I'm right and that other person's wrong. Just sometimes I just think that there might be tiny, tiny cavities there. And in my professional opinion, I think you should just monitor, what we call watch these. And if you're not symptomatic, if they're getting bigger, we take x-rays every year. It's not going to go from this tiny little cavity to you needing a root canal in a year unless you're guzzling soda every day. In my professional opinion, I wouldn't do any out of the 8 cavities they said. Maybe this one is medium size. Maybe we can do this one. So far, it's worked with me well. I think
Yeah, I like that. You're just letting them know your thought process. It's almost like you're thinking out loud, basically, right?
100%. Yeah, I think I get along with patients a lot just because I am a little bit crazy about being a good dentist and also just being honest. So I think they can tell that. Like I said, I've taken like $200,000 in probably CE courses. So I know what to do when. And I think that helps out everyone involved. It's not good business when you do bad root canals or you do bad implants and then things fail, because then, patients want their money back and then they want to tell other people bad things. So I think it's very important just to be a very honest dentist. And it's kind of hard. People get stressed because a patient will make a comment like, oh, I think this is off right here. And you're like, no, it's fine. You should just let it roll off your back. But we have to worry about millimeters here. So when someone makes a comment about something that they're not right about, it does get stressful. But I guess the point of my story is like, I think people do need to spend more time on continuing education courses to become better dentists. Because if you become a better dentist, you'll just be a better business owner because you're giving a better product. So that is one advice I do give to younger dentists.
Take CE courses. Interesting.
Yeah.
So then I noticed we discussed kind of like you did niche down on the Portuguese market, right? Especially in the Massachusetts area. Was that always like the idea? Or did it just kind of start happening? And then you're like, guys, we got to start making these Google ads according to this and so forth.
I don't know. In the beginning, that was never an idea. I knew that I could attack that market just because I am Portuguese and my wife's Brazilian, but that was not the idea in the beginning. Ended up working out well because, people want to do business with people that can speak their language and that they can explain them treatment. So that was not always the goal. I think I did spend a lot of money on like Brazilian TV. And they got me like $0 return. I'm pretty sure like maybe I got like one patient. So I was like, oh, maybe this won't work. But then we started doing Facebook ads and that ended up working. So that actually ended up working well. That wasn't the goal from the beginning, but I would say that it is a large part of my business now.
So for those who are, and we don't speak another language, right? How would you recommend we kind of find a niche like that?
It's hard because let's say you like doing implants, but you're in an area that it's a lot of younger people that don't need implants, then something that you like doing might not be the demographic and vice versa. So language is just one thing. But yeah, I don't know if someone has staff that's been there for a long time that speaks a certain language, they can target people on Facebook for that language. Maybe sometimes if someone has staff in the office, I know there's like for example, there's an endodontist that I refer to a lot. They have a Portuguese speaking assistant. They've been there for like 5-6 years. So we send all our root canal patients to that endodontist. You can also, a lot of dentists can probably learn some basic Spanish, some basic Portuguese, Duolingo and all that stuff now. So I think people trust people that speak the same language as them.
So it sounds like there's been a lot of change throughout the seasons, right? Whether it's like fee for service or out of network or this, right? Going into that type of niche market or even your marketing. What part of you resisted a specific change the most throughout the 8 years?
I just never wanted to be a very, very big dental office. So I guess like you kind of go back to the question you asked before, was the goal always to like reduce insurances? I could have went the opposite way. So some people, in order to fulfill that volume, they'll hire a second and third hygienist. I never wanted to do that. I resisted just hiring too many people. More people, there's just more staff to deal with, more people to call out sick. And again, I'm not against, everyone has to choose their lifestyle and how they want to practice. I just wanted a smaller office. So I chose to just not grow into a second and third hygienist. Some people think, then when you're not there, you're not having income. The way I think about it is then I'm netting more when I am there. And I think that it averages out for me making more if I'm collecting more for my services. So I was always resistant. I think a lot of consultants and mentors keep on getting hygienists and keep on having 2, 3 hygienists and bigger patient pool. That works for some people. That's something I resisted just because there was just more staff to deal with and then more patients to deal with too. And more patients means more people that might not click with my personality and that basically might not click with my personality or my staff's personality. So that's one thing I resisted, just getting too big, let's say, for that reason.
Gotcha. Interesting. Now, was there something ever internal? Like your staff is like, Andy, we got to do this. We got to do this. Or your wife is like, we got to do this. And you're like, no, no, let's hold off for a bit. And then later on, you changed or you did it, you adjusted, and you're like, you're right.
I don't think so. I don't have too many regrets. That was one of the things that we kind of mentioned before the podcast. Any regrets that you have? I had an endodontist one time come in and he worked for me for like a year. He didn't do the best work ever. So for the past couple of years, I've had to like do some extractions. Thankfully, I can fix the work with extractions and implants. So that's one thing I regret, not quality controlling my subcontractors or my associate dentist at my office. That's one thing that I do regret. I also had a lab tech one time that didn't do the best work. So I did a bunch of veneer cases that in the end didn't come out that great. I had to redo 25% of them. So that was a big regret. But luckily, for my low overhead, I was able to redo that at no cost to the patient. Everyone's happy. They have perfect veneers. They're happy. I'm happy. But those are the biggest regrets, I guess, just hiring a bad endodontist one time and then hiring a bad lab tech. Those are my biggest regrets.
So right now, is there a system or workflow that you're extremely proud of that you feel like, man, this is unique. I love the way this is rolling and we got this?
I try to make my fees really simple. I just have one fee for fillings, one fee for crowns. So it's just like, I'm not explaining people what core buildups are or a post. So I don't know. I just feel like that just makes, like you kind of said before, it just makes decisions faster. And speed helps everything. So you need 5 fillings. It's $300 a filling. I don't go into what a surface is and what a surface is not, whether you need a core buildup or not. I'm just doing it. Like if you need a core buildup, cool, I'll do it. Because then they go get 2, 3 consults. Oh, this guy did a core buildup. This guy didn't. This guy's doing that. What's the ceramic crown? This one. So I just try to like simplify things on treatment plans. Same thing with like an abutment on a crown. I just do an implant and an implant crown. I don't even explain to the patients what an abutment is just because that's another 10 minutes that I have to kill. And, then they're going to ask a lot of, oh, this guy charged me an abutment. You're going to get an abutment no matter what. I do just try to simplify treatment plans and I try to put it in the order that I want to do it so that it's just easier for everyone involved so that the front desk knows, hey, if he wants to do it in this order. And then sometimes they'll have to ask me, oh, does it have to be in that order or can we do it in this order? I'm like, oh, for this case, it's better to stay in this order. Or, oh, this case, you can go out of order, whatever the patient wants. So the treatment planning helps out a lot. Maybe I'm not the best with systems, but like it goes back to having a smaller office. Fortunately, I don't have to have the best systems in the world just because I do have a smaller office. So it's easier to communicate. I just walk up 50 feet and I can tell my receptionist something. When you have 20 people, 30 people offices, you better have really good systems and really good communication because people cannot understand things correctly, tell patients incorrect things, because we're such a small team. I train my staff. We're really good at like following up. If we say we're going to follow up with the patient, everyone tells the patients the same things. And that creates a lot of confidence with the patients. And I think that's why they say they accept a lot of my treatment.
I like the simplifying part about that, Andy. Explain, or I guess over-explain or explain like the abutment and all that stuff because we're trying to justify like the price in case they ask, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it could be to justify the price or just that's the way they used to do it. My dad's a contractor, like I said. So like I always thought things in terms of time and materials. And probably I'm wrong. I know that's not how medicine works. If you go to the hospital and you have an ER visit, I've seen like socks, itemized on ER visits. I'm just not that type of person. I know how long things take me and I know what I want to make for my hourly rate. So typically I leave out abutments and core buildups and posts. Just so like I said, yeah, it could be to justify the price or just because of that's how always people did it. But I just know my time and materials and I know, hey, it's going to take me 1 hour to do a crown. It's going to take me 1 hour chair time to do an implant. Just don't itemize those things out. Make it easier for the patient. I do think that helps out a lot.
Gotcha. Interesting. You mentioned how much you want to get paid hourly. How has that changed throughout the years? And also, how have you done the math for that? I know the material, but then everything else, how have you done the math?
Yeah, I used to try to do like $500 an hour. Now it's around $2,000 an hour. That's just something as you get more experience and your business grows, you just notice that I'm always looking at my schedule, 1 week ahead and filling the schedule so that, I'm maximizing my dollar per hour. Staff is very expensive. So I'm only open Monday through Thursday. I'm not open Friday and Saturdays. In the beginning, I was, but I noticed that a lot of patients were no showing and on Saturdays and on Fridays and Saturdays. It's not because I don't want to work. It's just I had a lot of no shows. So, and staff's very expensive. You have to have a receptionist, another assistant, maybe a hygienist. So I just try to force 5.5 days of work in 4 days, and it's worked out well. And the goal maybe in late 2026 is just to do 3 days. Hopefully about to adopt my second kid by the end of the month. So the goal is to spend more time with family by the end of the year.
Yeah. Congrats, man. That's beautiful. But
yes.
So I wanted to ask, and this sounds incredible, by the way, it sounds like you've been able to make these decisions. You kind of see others, it's like, okay, we're going to do like a survey and then a poll, and then we're going to start dropping hours little by little, like trickle it, right?
Yeah.
But you're just like, let's cut it. Saturday's done. Friday's done, right? Yeah. Drop insurance.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a lot of it is thankfully, because of a lean and mean team, right? What are some difficulties, though, with having a lean team?
You'll find yourself doing a lot of stuff that maybe you shouldn't do. But again, that's just a personality thing. I do think, like I said, my dad always owned a small business and he didn't have that many employees. So I behaved kind of like him. Yeah, you're probably doing some things that you don't want to do. But again, it brings the overhead down and it makes it so that you're not having to do treatments that you don't want to do just to pay that extra employee. I don't think there's any downside to it. I do think a lot of people are overstaffed. I do think a lot of dentists don't have business sense, maybe because their parents never worked in a small business. But I do think I have a good business sense of when something's worth it and when something's not. So like I said, if you sat there on a Friday and Saturday and you just didn't have any patients or you didn't collect what you want, slowly start to cut down, because then you're probably going to gross more money per hour, the days that you are there.
Interesting. So besides your wife, how old is the longest patient in your practice, and how's, I guess, the most recent one?
Patients?
I'm sorry,
staff?
Staff, yeah.
Staff. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of turnover just because we're in a major city and it's very expensive to live in a major city. So a lot of people don't want to commute into the city just because of traffic. So we just had 2 staff that were there for both 4 years leave in the beginning of the year. One had a baby and then the other one just moved because of the cost of living. So I think the lowest I have now is 3 years, 2 years. And that's been tough because when you have staff there for a long time, it makes things easier on you. But unfortunately, living in a big city, it's tough to keep staff.
Gotcha. So then what hiring filter works for you now?
Usually referrals from other staff. I've never had a bad follow with any staff. Usually the staff that's leaving refers someone else, like a friend or family, and then we just train them. Luckily, Massachusetts has a on-the-job training assistant license, so that helps out. Basically, they just take a quick ethics course, sterilization course, and they're able to get their assisting license. And then for receptionists, unfortunately, I've had to retrain multiple times. Luckily, I do have my wife working there, so she's doing about 80% of the training, and the last 20% I did. But in the beginning of the startup days, I was there every day. I'm crazy. I learned how to do everything from the beginning. And then after I learned how to do it perfectly, then I delegated to other people. So if something's wrong with billing, if something's wrong with accounts, I can take a look at it and fix it myself, or I can delegate it. And I think a lot of dentists rely on staff for too many things, and then they can lose money by just not being collected. They can lose money about embezzlement, or they just don't know where their money's going. They're not collecting the money from their treatment just because they don't understand how insurance works, or they didn't know the patient didn't pay. So yeah, you have to be a little bit, in my personality, I'm a little crazy just so I, make sure that I get paid for everything.
No, that's good. So then, Andy, if you could pretend you're the consultant, right? And then they're like, look, Andy, I can't just figure everything out. I have to deal with my family. I have to deal with practices. I have to do the work, right? All these things. I really just want to delegate this to someone. Realistically, what would you tell me? What would you tell the person? You're the consultant or you're the coach and you're like, dude, what would you realistically kind of have me envision?
It's pretty simple. You go find someone with talent. I'm a big Alex Hormozi guy. He's a podcaster. He's going to probably tell you, just go pay someone. You know what I mean? Go pay someone that has a lot of experience and delegate it to them. Go pay an office manager $75 to $100 an hour and let them do it. And you can do that. To me, that's not worth it, just because I guess that's not my personality. So if someone doesn't want to do that, they can go pay an office manager. They can go pay an assistant with a lot of experience. But the dentist needs to realize that you better make sure you're very profitable everywhere on your treatment in order to be able to afford them to keep your employee wages, the national average of, it used to be between 20 to 25%. Now it's getting closer to 25, closer to 30 because of staff increases. So I would recommend that person that wants to delegate that out, put an ad out on Indeed, and money talks. So if you write that you're going to pay $75 for an hour for an office manager, I'm sure someone will come, but make sure they're doing office manager type work. Office manager means like 10 or more people. If you have less than 10 people, I personally think that the doctor should be managing it. But yeah, if you pay people, you'll get better quality people.
Gotcha. So show them money kind of a thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
hey, like I like what you said, money talks. So that's totally true. Andy, was there a moment in the 8 years where you can like really pinpoint, hey, the trajectory changed and it started increasing here? Or has it always just been like, you know what I mean, a upward trajectory?
It's always been an upward trajectory. I think that now that I got better with like more efficient and more confident with full arches, that helped me out the past couple of years. Our marketing company helped me out the past couple of years a lot. Because of my confidence, that helped me out a lot too. It's always been an upward trajectory, but I think the last 2 years, it's been upwards, but also I've decreased the amount that I work. That helps out with stress just because I spend more time with family.
Yeah, that's super important. That's super important. So if an owner listening is one step behind where you were, like what's the one move they should make this week? Or what's the one CE course you recommend? Like, hey, if you want to start doing, be more confident in your full arches.
I think one thing that I recommend is like shadowing people that that are successful with their dental business. I think a lot of people don't do that. I think they can just learn from just seeing systems that other people put. And then like I practiced before I started practicing like 20 different offices. So I saw what I liked, what I didn't like, what materials I liked, what systems I liked. I put everything that I liked into my own office. So I do think that people should shadow because shadowing is cheaper. If you're not working Fridays, go shadow a periodontist, watch them place implants, go watch a oral surgeon place implants. If you like Invisalign, go watch an orthodontist. CE courses, taking a lot of good ones. Orco was one that I took lately down in Guatemala. Felt good to do it also, and it was very good quality education. I did Full Arch Club down in Brazil. That was a really good one too. I think there's a lot of good CE. There's Colorado Implant Institute. That's another good one. So a lot of Implant Pathways, another good one. There's a lot of good CE courses, and anyone that listens out, they can obviously reach out to me and I can give them more info on that too.
Nice. Okay. So one of our last questions is our last guest left a question for you. His name is Dr. Rahul Kaliampar from Hudson Dental Co. And his question was, what does your practice ask of you that you didn't expect when you became an owner?
I didn't expect to do the lab side of things. I think it makes me a better dentist because when things fail, I can troubleshoot more because I know every aspect of it. I can see my prep, I can see the implants, I can see everything on a screen. So I think you just understand dentistry better because you're more involved in the lab part. So I never thought I would be doing lab work. Again, when I say lab work, that's very like, I'm not sitting there, like doing a wax up or something like that. I tell my assistant and tell my lab tech, I'll tell them what to do. And if I get something back and it doesn't work out well, I'm able to troubleshoot it. So I never thought I'd be doing lab work.
Interesting. Yeah. But it's paying off like tremendously for you. That's incredible.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Very glad that I did that.
Nice, nice. Yeah. So before we wrap up, what's one question you'd like to ask for the next guest to answer?
Like if they wanted to 10x their business or 2x their business, what steps would they take to do that?
Gotcha. That's a good question.
Alex Hormozy, like I said, I mentioned I liked him before. Yesterday, there was a little clip. It was a dentist. They asked, I have 4 offices. They do 15 million in revenue. And he said, okay, well, how do you want to make more money? And he said, basically pay your dentist more in order to make more money. So similar question to the next person. If you want to 2x or 10x your collections, what would you do?
Gotcha. I like that. I like that question a lot. That's really good. All righty. Andy, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure. But before we say goodbye, can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yeah, you can email me on my personal email. It's andybrito3@gmail.com, and feel free to email me.
Awesome. So that's going to be in the show notes below. And Andy, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure, and we'll hear from you soon.
Sounds good. Nice meeting you.